The big bad villain in soaps are usually a double-edged sword. Because ultimately, in some way, they are the backbone of the show for the period that they are reigning, like, supreme. You know, you think of the most famous serial killers on the show, the most famous villains. Richard Hilman, possibly the greatest soap serial killer in history. Who else do you think of? Patrick Phelan, probably the most depraved serial killer in soap history, where you take this everyday man and then turn him into this absolutely heartless, yet very cunning serial killer. And the recent addition to this trope, having two victims under their belt, I believe. You have... is it 3? Regardless, multiple victims. You have Stephen Reid, who tries to kind of play the Hillman role and has taken the same trajectory, but there's just something so unbelievably wrong about the character. Now, not to say that it's all bad, because it's not all terrible. I do think that they picked the wrong person to make this serial killer. Who is Stephen Reid? Stephen Reid is a charming kind of playboy type character, except slightly older in his age, and is obviously Audrey's favourite and only son. And he didn't really appear too much. He appeared a bit in 1996, appeared a bit in 2006 to 2007, but then came back in 2022 to play this big bad serial killer villain type. He came in to look after Audrey, but it seemed that he was not telling the entire truth, and that is what Leo, his first victim, found out, and that's why he died. And then Teddy, who started to figure out some of the things, also proceeded to murder him, and has been spiking Carla and trying to cause a lot of issue. What has he done so far? Well, he's lied to everyone, and he's conned Tim's mum, Elaine Jones, out of, 10 grand at least? And is likely going to have to live with her, and is just using her, and decided to play into the fact saying he was an abuse victim, despite his ex-wife, Gabrielle, who proceeded to follow him and essentially say, "Oi, stop it, you've been embezzling money from my company." And he's in crippling debt. Why is Stephen so unbelievable as a character? Well, I don't know if it's the accent, it's the writing which makes him stick out like a sore thumb, but they were trying... and the way they angled this felt like instead of going for a Richard Hilman, they went for a John Stape, where it's all completely unbelievable and really campy. And that's not really what you wanted to do, especially when both Richard Hilman and Pat Phelan were both very serious, dark characters. But Stephen Reid is a serious, dark character in a pantomime. Because he's just... there's something so inherently disastrous about the character that everything he does feels accidental, even if it's supposed to be so very calculated, because that's the angle that they want to have. But it is very, very questionable at the best of times. And I don't know if I'm the only one who finds the Stephen serial killer storyline completely unfathomable, but to me it has been affecting the show. Stephen is the main antagonist as of right now, and they're trying to make him take down pre-established characters, but in the ones he's killed, he's only killed Leo and Teddy, his dad, who both are two characters who, let's be honest, aren't really, were never popular and weren't really mainstays of the show. So it starts to kind of question, how long is this gonna go on for? Because it has been limiting the show. It's been limiting my enjoyment of the show. As Coronation Street, even though we cover EastEnders every week on Watching Walford, Coronation Street did quickly shoot up there to be possibly my favourite soap for a very long time. But following both this storyline and Summer Spellman's Year of Terror, it just kind of makes me decide that it's not really worth watching, and I struggle to get through it a lot more. The issue with Stephen is that the accent is terrible and not Canadian at all. Very questionable. And he's just not a strong character. All the scenes where he's supposed to be upset, like the time he decided to play swings with the garbage bins, that's absolutely hilarious. But you're not supposed to be thinking this of your character. He's not supposed to be a clumsy John Stape. He's supposed to be Richard Hilman. And I think it's just the soap's kind of reliance on the past, which is making Stephen, giving him the reason to be the serial killer. But it's just ultimately so unbelievably misread and miscalculated. But this could just be me. What do you think of Stephen Reid? What do you think of the serial killer storyline? And do you wish it were over? I could really do without it, honestly. I think it's genuinely hampering my enjoyment of the show right now. But that has been all from me. I've been Ash from Easily Entertained. Do you like Stephen Reid? And is there a serial killer problem? Or is Coronation Street too reliant on the past? You tell me in the comments down below.